Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide.
Hi, peeps.
Hello, preschool peeps. We hope you are well on this fine Monday morning when we're going to teach you what?
New beginnings.
When we're going to teach you, yes, every Monday is a new beginning. And at this Monday, we can teach you and encourage you to help the children to become problem detectives. One of the challenges of early childhood is figuring out what is upsetting you. What is the problem?
Adults have this problem.
It's very true.
So maybe this episode is for them too.
We can't teach them that until we can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
especially young children tend to have really big emotions because that part of the brain is fully developed very early on. The brain develops from the back forward and the inside out. So that part of the brain that has emotions, which is the amygdala, is a primitive part of the brain, and it's back and bottom, and it's like, it's not total bottom, that's our reflexes, but it's in a spot where it develops early on, so they have these developed part of their brain that emotes feelings, and the part of the brain where they can think logically and figure things out is not yet developed. So they have these really big emotions, and they think that's the problem.
Can't think of anything else. Yeah.
So when we say to young children sometimes, what happened? They'll say, I'm mad.
I'm so mad. And they'll tell you why they're mad. I'm so mad. He pushed me. I'm so mad. She took my toy. I'm so sad. My mom left. It's always like, here's the emotion. And sometimes they could tell you why, and sometimes they can't. They're just mad.
But I think even in that why,
exactly,
they haven't identified the problem. Right? So they say, I'm so mad. She took my toy. She took my toy was an action based on the problem.
The problem is you both want that toy. There's not enough toys.
Or there aren't enough of that toy. There's not enough of that toy in the space for everyone who enjoys playing with it. Because, the high quality advice actually is if there's a favorite toy, you should have duplicates.
To stop these kind of emotional things that would happen and it would solve your problems as a teacher to be like, okay, now you're not putting out that fire because you have 3 trucks instead of 1. Yeah. Ideally.
Right. Ideally. Yes. Not to say that the ideal can happen. I mean, you can definitely be in a place or a space where all of a sudden this year, this is the favorite toy and we just can't get any more of them right now for whatever reason. But the problem is not she took my toy. That has self-regulation and communication need for the child who took the toy. The problem is they both want the same toy. And again, to really break it down with children to say, why did that happen? What was the problem? Is kind of unpeeling. It's like, peeling the layers of an onion. You have to get into the deeper problem here. And the deeper problem could be we need more of those trucks, but we don't have more of those trucks. So what should we do? And then we can do some problem solving with them. But you've got to get to the core, the inside of that onion, to be able to really problem solve with them. Because unless we get into that inner core of the problem, what is the real problem here? Then all we're doing is putting out behavioral fires all day long.
Solving the actual problem to prevent it from happening in the future. Yeah.
Right. Because that's really what we want to do. We want, when you think about problems as an adult, right? If we were going to take an adult issue, like let's say we want to avoid this problem of being in debt in the future, then what I need to do is not rack up debt, or I need to think about my budget, or I need to think about my lifestyle, or I
Yes.
need to get another job, or whatever it is. But you've got to get to the core of it. It's so much of human behavior is a reaction to the problem, and we think either that reaction is the problem, the emotions attached to it are the problem, and children will go right to the emotion. Child is sad, and I go over and I say, "Oh, what happened?" They say, "I'm sad.
I'm
I'm
crying.
crying." They'll sometimes say, "I'm crying."
I see. Yeah.
I'm like, "I know you're crying. Why are you crying? I wanted to stand there." Why did you want to stand
Yeah.
there? That's the crux of the problem. There's this really great technique that I once learned, maybe from a therapist, but it's so great. When I'm feeling very emotional, whether I'm anxious or frustrated or angry, you're supposed to ask yourself why
That's
5
actually
times.
really smart. Okay. Yeah.
It's so interesting. So you say, like, let's say I'm really anxious, and you say to yourself, "I'm scared." Then you say, "Why?" "Because I don't want to go to this thing." "Why?" "Because there's going to be so many people there." "Why?" "Because it's the sort of event that draws people, and I don't like people, that big crowds of people like that." "Why?" "Because I'm an introvert and I've never learned to cope with being in a
Yeah.
big crowd of people." So
There's
now we get to the
you're going.
middle
It's
of
like
that.
with every why you're peeling off a layer. Why don't I want to go to the event? There's going to be a lot of people there. Why are there going to be a lot of people there? It's a popular event. Why is it a popular event? Why do you not like popular events? And then you're getting down into the core
Right.
of it all.
Right.
That's
Why?
smart.
Why? 5 times.
That's very
Mhm.
smart.
5 whys. So let's
Mm-hmm.
say you are on a teaching team, and the person you're working with, you're finding kind of frustrating. It happens when humans work together. Do your 5 whys to yourself. I'm frustrated with this person. Why? That's not how I would have done the lesson. Why? I think it would be more effective done this way. Why? Because that's the style that I think the children enjoy. So why is their style frustrating
Yeah,
you?
because I think
Like, you have to keep.
because I
Sometimes it
think in
takes more
that
than 5
example, it
whys.
kind of shows you like that doesn't need to be my frustration. You know what I mean? Like what that person does in their classroom, as long as they are keeping the children safe and it's an effective method for their type of teaching, go for it. It takes it off of your plate. I don't need to be frustrated about that. I need to go and do what I feel is the right thing to do, which is be in my classroom and teach it based on my philosophy. And that's also fine. You know what I mean?
Or if you're
Maybe
co-teachers, you do
you
something else
yeah.
in your
Or
way.
you do it
and
both
later on,
ways and you'll hit
if you're wise,
different types of children will learn different types of ways, and that's fine
right?
too.
If your whys in that situation do not lead you to the children didn't learn anything, then there's
Yeah.
no reason why we can't just let it be. You have to see where the path of whys lead you. And like I said, it could be more than one. So if we were to take this adult technique of trying to figure out the actual issue behind your emotions and your bodily reaction, we can take that and use it similarly with young children, right? The child says, "I'm mad." Why? What happened? She grabbed the toy. Why do you think she grabbed the toy?
She wanted it, yeah.
She wants my toy. Why do you think she wants your toy? Why would she want your toy? Because she really likes this toy. Oh, you both really like this toy. That can cause a problem. So what should we do if you
Yeah.
both
And I
really
think
like this
that is an
toy?
important part of it. Is because I think so often adults will try to just solve the problem for them. They're like, okay, we'll just buy more toys or we'll take turns or whatever. It's like, no, but if you ask them, what can we do to solve this problem? Is teaching them how to solve problems. If you just go and do it and be like, okay, we'll take turns. We'll let her have a turn. And then like, that's your solution. That might not be what their solution is, and their solutions might surprise you, you never know. Like, but it should be up to them how to solve this problem, not up to you. You can help be there and facilitate it and get them through the process of solving the problem, but they're never going to learn how to solve the problem on their own unless you actually let them solve the problem. Yeah, like
And
guide
they
them
need
through
your
it.
guidance, but guidance is being a facilitator
Yes.
is different than
Yes.
being an instigator. You don't need to be the answer person. You need to always be leading children to the answer. You know what would be kind of cute if I had just heard this episode and I was working in a classroom? I would want some kind of symbol of a detective so that I could say to the children, I think we need to figure out what's the problem. Why don't you go get
Our
our
detective kit.
detective
Let's go get our
something?
detective
Our
kit.
detective kit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cute.
I think it's time. I can picture myself saying, I think
Yeah.
this is a good time for the detective kit. And in that kit can be something that symbolizes being a detective, along with visuals for how children solve their problems, which you can find on challengingbehavior.org from the National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations, and which I believe we actually have linked in our listener resources on our website, How Preschool Teachers Do It. So you can find visuals that you could laminate and put in that detective kit and say, let's see if we can find what's the problem,
Yes.
what's at least part of the problem here, and let's really talk about what we can do next time, because that's a skill that they can
Yes.
carry with them their whole lives. They can be those adults who say to themselves, I am so upset, let me think about why, and get to the core of the problem, the crux of the problem, so that they can figure out what to do so that it's not repeated in the future. Teaching children self-regulation is partially about coping with their emotions and partially about making good behavioral decisions. How do you make good behavioral decisions if you never know how to break down a
And
problem?
I think that's why most adults struggle with this, is they don't know how to break down a problem, because we were never taught that. Okay. Like, we just weren't. We were not.
We were not.
So let's give this generation of children that toolkit to have in their back pocket so that when they are my age, they're not struggling with solving problems. Okay.
When we were young and two children were struggling over a toy, the teacher would take the toy and throw it in the hallway. That was not teaching
that is
me.
exactly what they did. I did too.
I did it when
because
I was
you're
a
just
young
like,
teacher.
let me just eliminate the problem. I'll put it in the hallway. You know, it's time to rotate toys, and I'll put it in the hallway.
She says in air quotes.
Rotate the toys.
We're going to
and
rotate
suddenly that
this
truck's
toy.
not here anymore. Oh, well, it was, first of the month we rotated the toys out. And now that truck's not my problem anymore. Nobody's going to fight over it. But did that teach the kids anything? No, nothing at all.
I think it only teaches the kids something if the children say to me, when I say, what should we do? Everybody loves this toy, and we only have one. What should we do? If the children say to me, take it out the room, then I'm taking it out of the room.
You got to try, right?
Yep.
Did that solution work? Yeah, you're not fighting anymore. Are you sad now because the truck is not here? Yeah, okay, so that's another problem we got to solve. What do we do now? I mean, if that's their idea, then I'd say go with it. But if you are just throwing the toys out in the hallway to make your life easier, that's not the right thing to do either. I've done it. No, I've done it.
Listen, I did it. I get it.
Done it.
But we know better now. Yeah, I get it. I remember one time I was teaching, I think it was pre-K, and we had a toy children were fighting over, which happens often. It's a normal part of their development. And so they're fighting over this toy. And I do remember saying something to the children like, we only have one. What should we do? And one of the children said to me, well, can we cut it in half? Which was so nice. So he said, can we? It is. He said, I think, can we cut it in half? And my response to that was, if we cut it in half, it won't work. It was a truck. It was one of those, big trucks that hold a lot of pretend material in it. And I said to him, if we cut it in half, the truck won't roll anymore. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
They have to understand that sort of thing too. Like when they come up with a solution, we can't just look at them and say, no, we can't cut the truck in half. That'll ruin the truck. we have to explain, right? If I cut the truck in
It
half,
won't
you're not going to
roll
want to play
anymore.
with the truck
But
because it
like
won't
in
even
that
roll
case, if
anymore.
it was a
So
different type of toy, splitting things in half might work. Like if it's a, you know, and I think I would say that to the child, like in this case, it wouldn't work. If it was like a bag of Legos or something, we could split that in half and it would work, but this doesn't work because I wouldn't want
that's
him to
true.
think like, oh, your idea just never would work. It just won't work in this case because a truck needs 4 wheels to roll. And if we take 2 of those wheels away, it will not work, you know, because that's a pretty good solution for other things. You know, smart thinking, not this
Yeah,
particular thing.
but not this
Yeah.
truck. Yeah, I can think of so many instances where children have suggested very creative ways to solve the we're fighting over a toy problem. But they can have other problems. You named one earlier, Allison. You said that something about
Oh yeah, I'm sad because my
my
mom
mommy left. That was the
has left.
problem. My
Yeah.
mommy left. Right. I'm sad because my mom has left. And my
Yeah.
response to that would be, do you know why mom left? Do you know why mommy left? And I've had those conversations with children. They're like,
Yeah.
she went
Yes.
to
Yes.
work.
Why does
And
she
I'm
go
like,
to work?
I know.
Yeah.
She went to work. She
Yeah.
went to work. Why does she go to work? There's
Yeah.
our why does she go to work?
They don't know.
And
They
many
don't
they
understand
don't.
it.
A
Yeah.
lot of young children, really young children, don't know. And it gives us an opportunity to say, when people work, they get money to
Your
pay for things like your
food. Yeah.
toys,
The
your
house you live
clothes, your
in. Yeah.
food,
Yeah.
right? So your grown-ups need to go to work to pay for your clothes, your toys, your right. So
Yeah.
that's why grown-ups go to work. I remember this conversation, and it was one of my favorite conversations with young children. Again, it was either kindergarten or pre-K. I don't remember at the moment, but and I may have been kindergarten because I remember thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm surprised that you don't
Older.
realize that." So it may have been like a child who was about, a little
Yeah.
bit older, in the preschool, and I said something about we were talking about jobs, and the child said to me, "What's your job?"
This is my job.
And I said, "This is my job." I said, "I come and teach you, and that's my job." And she got very upset, and she started crying. She said, "I thought you liked to play
Oh
with us." And I
no.
said, "I do." And I had to like comfort her. And I said, "I do like playing with you. That's why
Oh
I stay in
no.
this job."
Well, I think one of the why, like
It
when they're
was
saying
so,
why does mommy work or why does daddy work, I think maybe and yeah, for money, but also like to help people. Like so maybe put that in there. Like they go to help people. It helps the world kind of go
yeah, oh yeah.
around. We need people to be nurses and doctors and garbage collectors and all this stuff to make the world work. You know, we all chip in this society. So it's not like, you know, and my job is to come here and teach you to, you know, so that you learn and develop, but your mom's job is to go do this, you know, and in doing that, they make money in order to keep your house and your food going and stuff like this. So maybe then it wouldn't be like this. You're only here because you're getting paid. Yeah, I don't know if I would, you know. So
Good point. Good point, Allison.
yeah,
Point well taken. Maybe we say,
yeah, yeah,
depending what sort of job the parents are in, if they
right,
love their job, it's something they've always wanted to
yeah,
do. I
yeah,
mean, it or
yeah,
not. I mean, I think that angles the conversation. But I think you're right. And we all know now what happens when places are short
yes.
staffed and people don't go to jobs.
There's no staff.
Wherever I
Yeah,
go, there's no staff, whether it's a restaurant, a
yeah.
store, a
Well,
movie
around
theater.
here, like
There's no
you know,
staff.
during the summer, a lot of the like recreational stuff was gone. Like the pools, there were no lifeguards. There's nobody to
Yeah.
work. You know, it's short staffed everywhere. So like, be patient with whoever is working, kind of thing, because it's a lot.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the HBO movie that's going to tell us why we're all so short-staffed. I think we don't really know the reason. The HBO movie
Yeah, yeah.
someday
We'll learn
about
about
this
it
era will tell us.
then.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. In the meantime, we're living
yeah,
through it, so children may be able to relate to that, you know. And I think when we really think about the fact that there are so many things that don't make sense to children that they don't know, that helping to get into that and peel back those layers
yeah,
gives them a better understanding of their world. I, I'm momentarily wondering how many of you just went on the internet and started to look at things like, how can I set up a detective
No,
kit?
because
Not listening
I'm
anymore,
totally
because I
taking that
would be.
idea and I'm going to do it. But I am going to look that
You're
up.
welcome.
If I find some good resources,
You're
maybe we should
welcome.
just pop it on the
Yeah.
website.
And I think it's a nice cue for children when we say, I think this is a good time for the problem detective kit. They understand what
Yeah.
you're about to do. We're about to think about what just happened together, peel the layers together so that we can solve the problem, which is one of those skills. That's one of the social emotional goals in early childhood teaching is we need to teach children to solve problems. But like you said, we aren't so good at that ourselves.
No, but I think we're not good at it because there's no teacher when I was growing up that did this with us. Like, I don't remember really there being a social emotional curriculum or anything like that when I was a kid, other than maybe an anti-bullying kind of thing. That was it. Like there was they didn't really know a lot back then, so it was different times. I'll give them that. But at the same time, like caused me to not know how to do certain things. Okay. Hence why I probably have a ton of anxiety. Okay.
Generational.
Yes. Yes.
It was generational. I hope that the things that we understand in this generation about helping children to understand their world instead of just doing things like taking the truck and throwing it in the hallway or saying to them, don't worry, your mother will be back. And then just like, you want to hug, your mother will be back. That's, she always comes back. Okay, but they have no idea why it is she needed to go and leave them. Right. I hope that you yourselves, preschool peeps, will practice the 5 whys in your life. It is, I find, for me, a very interesting and calming thing to do.
When I remember to
do it. When I'm not so emotional that I forget to do it. So I hope that you take that as a practice for yourselves and that you figure out, how can I teach this to the young children I work with? Because it shouldn't only be something that people who seek that sort of information get. It should be something that's widely done. So go ahead and go in and get your detective magnifying glass and hat or whatever it is you're going to use and set up your problem-solving detective kit for young children. But before you do that, we do need to shout out a couple places. Yes, we now have on our roster of up-and-coming preschool peeps, we have Germany was in our top listings. Yes, hi Germany. And in the United States, Wisconsin.
That's awesome. I've never been there either.
Again, I've not been there. Wisconsin.
I haven't either, but I do know
I've not
some
been to Germany either.
I took German in college.
I'm feeling.
Yeah. So, guten Morgen.
Did you? Wow. Good for you.
Yes.
Nice. Nice.
You don't know German?
I do not know German. Yeah. I did not take German. No.
You would.
I mean, I would recognize some words, I think.
Like you know how to say goodbye in German, no?
Common words.
No? Auf Wiedersehen?
Yes.
You know I'm wrong.
I didn't want to say it because I didn't want to be wrong. I feel like, I don't know, I'm going to embarrass myself in front
even then,
of
they're
people
probably
in
like,
Germany who are now listening to us.
Wrong. I'm like, it's been since college because I always wanted to go to Germany, so I took German in college. I want to visit like the castles and stuff.
You should go.
I want to go there one day. Yeah. So I got to brush up on my German.
You should go.
I do remember how to ask where the bathroom is, though, which I find very important. Yes, to know in all languages.
That in many languages.
Just in case. Yes.
All languages, I need to find a restroom. Happily, if I go to Wisconsin at any point, it'll be really easy for me to ask. Yeah. Yep. Preschool peeps, if you haven't checked out our tiers of membership on Patreon yet, please do. There are people who have sent us messages and commented on social media saying, I'm going to check out your tiers. I know it's an extra step in your life, but if you haven't done it yet, please do. We really want to share with you on Patreon, patreon.com/how preschool teachers do it. We will catch you next week on the podcast because Patreon or not, nothing here is changing.
Yes.
It can only improve with patrons and Patreon.
Hi, peeps.
Catch you next time, preschool peeps.